Hello, everybody.
Hello, everyone.
This is Hugh from Comgrow.
This is Ben.
Yes, today both of us are doing the stream today, and today we are just going to show you how our Comgo Z1 to engrave on ceramic cups. Today we have invited two special guests. That is Jerry and William. Let's welcome to join us.
Yeah, let's welcome Jerry and.
Hello, Comgrow.
Hey guys, how are you?
How are you doing?
Very good. I'm growing my beard out, so I figured why not get a Santa hat? So I ordered one on Amazon.
Jerry's getting practice for Christmas.
Yeah, yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. So, as Hugh said, we will show the laser and we will talk to William and Jerry, and also we have some I think lucky draw today. So we will see later, and if you guys have chance to win some filament. Yeah. So I think if you don't know William and Jerry, you may introduce yourself a bit. Yeah.
Jerry,
Right.
go first.
My name is Jerry. I'm with 3D Printing and Painting, 3D HP. I got a Facebook group, YouTube channel. I've been in the hobby for about 5 years, and I print way too much stuff. I've done hundreds of models, hundreds of resin prints. I got into lasers last year with my K40, and here about a couple months ago, I built a DIY diode laser, and I put a Comgrow 5-watt laser head on it. And then I reviewed their Comgo Z1, and it's a great little laser, and I have that, and I'm into resin printing, and I'm retired here in Las Vegas, Nevada, and I'm always busy doing something. And I'm working on my CNC. I've got their Comgrow CNC. I've got an MP CNC, so I'm always busy doing something. So, Liam?
Okay, my name is Liam. My channel is Astroprinter. Some of you may know me, some of you may not. Just youtube.com/Astroprinter. I'm into lasers, CNCs, 3D printing. I'm starting a little bit into metal casting. I'm starting to play with that idea right now. I'm always into something. I'm always busy in the groups. You might see me out in the groups and the Comgrow and other 3D printer groups. I'm busy out there. I do a lot of new machines for reviews and showing off new products as they come out a lot on my channel. So, but yeah, I'm always kept busy. I've been into this, being a maker since forever, but it's my channel's going around for about a year and a half or so, but it's doing well, and I keep busy. And Jerry and I hang out all the time. He's on my streams, I'm on his streams. The same goes with Tripod. Like you might see Tripod there in chat. He's on our streams, and we jump on the chats with him and so on all the time. So we're part of the community, and all we do is go around and help each other out. That's what makes being a maker so cool. Helping each other.
Yeah.
Liam's in Michigan. I'm in Las Vegas, Nevada.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Can you tell from my accent?
Yeah. If anyone could, okay, I think John here.
Yeah, both Jerry and William are so professional in laser products. And before some Steve, everybody or maybe have something problem on answer. And Jerry and William will give us a very good suggestion to help everyone. If you guys have any question or problem, you can just talk here and even just put the question into our group. And both of the people in the group can just discuss together and find out the solutions.
Yeah. So I still want to ask a question here to you guys. So how do you feel about the unit Z1 since you got it till now? Yeah, it's kind of long. Yeah.
It's my first diode laser. As I mentioned, I had a K40 I bought a little over a year ago, and there's a lot of things I want to do a lot quicker and smaller with the diode. And there's so many things you can do with the diode you can't do with the K40 and a big CO2 laser. There's a lot of pictures and stuff I'll show you in a little bit. And a K40 won't cut. You can't do those on a K40. You need a diode for a lot of things. So cutting you can do on a diode, but it's a lot faster on a K40. So it all depends what you want to make and how much time you want to spend. A lot of things you can do on a K40 that might take 10 minutes. You can do on a diode, but it might take 45 minutes. So there's a little bit of give and take. But for somebody just wanting to get into lasers, I think a diode laser is perfect. It's a perfect way to start. In my case, I figured, well, I'm going to leapfrog over a diode laser, and I'm going to get a K40. But then I had to. There's a lot of other stuff to buy. Air filtration, water filtration. There's a lot more things you have to buy, air assist and things to add to it. Where a diode, you simply put it together and wham, bam, you're going in 10 or 15 minutes. And depending on how big your space is, you might need ventilation. It all depends on your environment and where you're working at. But yeah, I love the Comgrow Z1. It's my first laser. Liam has many diode lasers, and it's a great diode laser. I've had no real issues with it whatsoever.
Yeah, I have a variety of diode lasers. I have 7 diode lasers of various sizes. Some are around the same size as the Z1, some smaller, and some I have one that's combined into a printer. But there's, as Jerry said, there is stuff that you can do with a diode that you can't do with other lasers, like a K40. Like a K40 cannot do pulse width modulation, which a diode laser can do perfectly, which means it can vary the strength and the power of the laser as it's burning. The K40 can't do that, and you run into issues that you can't do images or photographs and all this kind of stuff, which you can do with a diode. So even though you have the higher powered laser, like I also have a higher powered laser like Jerry does, the diode laser is ideal for when you want to do images, when you want to do something that is like a photograph into a piece of paper or other work like that. It's perfect for that. And they are a lot cheaper and they're a lot easier to maintain than some of the other lasers because of the physical size and size limitations and the amount of, like as Jerry said, water cooling, air extraction and all this kind of stuff, or air filtration systems. There's a lot more involved in some other type of lasers. And for the hobbyist, diode lasers are perfect because you get the hang of the software, and that will carry over to other lasers if you ever decide to go bigger later on. And it gives you the ability, the flexibility of doing multiple materials that and you can get really beautiful results out of it quite easily compared to some other products which have a steeper learning curve. Makes life a lot easier on diodes. So I haven't run into any issues with the Z1. As I said, I have other lasers like that, and I'm used to using them. And it was very easy to set up. It was very easy to get going, and I have used it a fair amount, and I haven't come across any problems with it whatsoever.
Yeah. So I think maybe I will ask the second question is, but I think I already answered that. Do you find it difficult when you first started using it? Or maybe I think for Jerry, maybe the first time you use it. For Liam, you maybe the first time you use the laser, not us, but how you just get started. That the difficulty is software, or you need to, like Jerry said, you need to find even more stuff to make it completely usable.
With my K40 a little over a year ago, I got Lightburn. I paid for Lightburn, and Lightburn is the best software on the planet. So when the Z1, when I got it out to review, it came with Laser Gerbil. I've never used Laser Gerbil, nor did I want to try it since I knew Lightburn was superior to everything. I just went with what I knew, and it's very easy to set up, and I was burning right away or cutting, fairly quick. Where Liam has used Laser Gerbil quite a bit, I have not used Laser Gerbil, but with Lightburn, it was no problem. Very simple to use. There's a million YouTube videos out there and people that are doing it. For instance, LA Hobby Guy, which I'll plug his channel, he's got a great channel on everything Lightburn, and he's only been doing it for a short period of time and has a great channel.
Mm-hmm.
That question is there for me. I like having the dedicated machine because then I don't have I have lots of printers. I'll show you some of my setup in a while, but if you only have one printer, maybe 2 printers, and you want to print something and you're trying to use a laser at the same time, you're limited, first of all, because now you can't print anymore. And it's nice to have a dedicated machine for that. And I also find that having a dedicated machine for a specific task is easier to manage and maintain, and there's not so many switching parts around, like taking off a laser head and putting this on and so on. It's way easier to have, I want a laser, put it on my table, put what I want to laser engrave on it, go to my software, hit go, and it does the job, rather than having to go and take components apart, switch out at one component to put on another, and to get it to do that function. Now, I do have a combo machine that does multiple tasks, and I actually don't use it for those multiple tasks most of the time because I have dedicated machines. I stick with a dedicated machine most of the time.
I did have a small, I believe, like a 1 watt Liam, that other Comgrow head I got like a year and a half ago.
It was a 0.5, I think it was, yeah.
Really small, and I put that on an Ender 3 that had TH3D firmware on it. I never could get it to work right with the software that was provided, so I just kind of gave up on it. And that's when I built my own. I bought the extrusion, I built my own, and I put the Comgrow 5 watt on it. And then it was great. And another thing good about a diode laser, you can take it with you anywhere you go. You can easily take it to a classroom or to a friend's house or wherever, Christmas party, and set it up and show people how it works if you have the proper PPE, eye protection for everybody. But a K40, you can't do that. You can't just throw it in your car and take it to a friend's house or a school and set up. But a diode is very portable. You can take it anywhere. If I wanted to add something on the hood of my truck, you can set the diode right on it and burn the emblem and the paint, whatever you need to do. You can pretty much put it wherever you want and, engrave.
Yeah. So
and they're easy to store. They're small, they're compact. Like I have a wire part of my setup here, and you can use little brackets. I 3D printed little brackets like this, and I can hang my laser up on the wall when I don't need it. And when I do need it, I just lift it off and put it on the table to use. So they're easy to maneuver because they're so light. K40, it's a 2-person job to move.
Okay, Tom, for your question, we have do a test. We just put the laser head into the creative 3D printer, such as N3 or N3 Pro. And we found out that when we use the 3D printer with the laser head, we can use it, but we can't control the whole process with the lead burn or with the GRBR. We have to use another one that just set the laser box to use it. We can't just put the fuse into the SD card and then use it, but you can't control by the soft directly. But for the laser machine, we just can control the whole process with the software.
Yeah, well, your laser box is basically a Gerbil board, which is your Gerbil board in a box, and you take the power off the printer, and it takes over the x-axis and the y-axis, right? That's what you're doing in your laser box. So it's basically your laser box turns a printer into like a small version of your Z1, the size of your print bed. That's basically what it does. It's a Gerbil board.
And I tether all my machines get tethered to my PC. I got a 25-foot USB cord that I tether whatever I'm plugging in. I tether it. I was testing out your app for your Comgrow that you haven't released yet, the Z1, and the app was working pretty good. But I had to put the SD card, take the control box off the Z1, put the SD card in. And then I noticed that later with other units, people were asking, "What's this little device for?" Which was the
Wi-Fi.
The Wi-Fi.
The Wi-Fi controller,
controller.
Yes,
But mine came with it. Mine was already in it.
Yeah, mine wasn't, but it's easy. It's only there's a port on the main board. Take off the cover, plug it in, you're done. You set it up. It's easy. Yeah.
Yes, we pre-built that. So and I think we'll continue that after a few that. So I think you actually also answer questions. But anyway, I first want to say that I think if Tom's still there, I hope that Lim will answer your questions quite well. But any further question you could continue ask. And then I think question is what do you think the advantages and disadvantages compared to others about V1?
Liam will have to take that when you've tried different models of
I've tried. Yeah, I have multiple. I have, as I said, about 7 lasers, including the one that's on a printer. And well, I like the build volume being 400 by 400 is great. You're not limited to some of the smaller lasers, which are great, which are really good for starters, but you're limited to roughly the size of a sheet of paper. Whereas with the Z1, that limitation is not there. You have a much larger area to work with. You can do larger designs, larger. You can cut material. You can cut multiple things, and you can switch out the head because it comes with a 5-watt, but you can actually add a 10-watt laser to it later on if you wanted to upgrade it, and that gives you more cutting power if you want to use it for cutting like cloth or paper or card or plywood or whatever like that. You can do all of that with that. I don't know if there's any disadvantages. I like the Wi-Fi. Not all of them come with Wi-Fi, because you've added the Wi-Fi feature, which is really good. I don't think there's any real disadvantages. It's on par with its competitors out there, but they're light, they're easy to maneuver, and it's easy to set up. I find it's easy to set up. I didn't run into any issues with it. And when it comes as an easy to assemble kit, and the instructions are good, so it's easy to put together. Like anyone who knows how to use a screwdriver or a hex wrench can put the thing together. It's pretty simple to put together.
And it engraves hot dogs real good, like Tripod mentioned there. It does Cheetos too.
Oh yeah. It engraves Cheetos and it engraves hot dogs, and it does glass, and it does a whole pile of different things. So it is very flexible, and again, it's the main thing for me, the detractor for me is its build volume, right? I have a few others at the same size, and the physical size of it is really good. Some of the others I said are really small. Like, no, if you have the really small diode laser as well, the small Comgrow Mini. Unless you only do small objects, that's fine. But for me, I either go big or I go home. So
Well,
I like big things. All my printers are big printers. I don't normally do small
the
printers.
build
either.
area on a K40 is very small also. And if you want to go bigger, you can spend a lot of money, completely gut it, tear it apart, make it bigger, which is a ton of work. Or you can go spend $2,000 and buy like a K50, something larger. So
Yeah.
if you want to get into it and be
I think
really
it's for-
universal,
Yeah, I think for its price point, it's fantastic. Like, it's a good machine. It's not super expensive. It'll get you into the hobby. You can get very creative with it.
Yeah. I also have some thoughts since we also sell swing printers. I think swing printers that for the models you can cut into pieces, and if you have small size printer, but for laser it's kind of one piece. You cannot do so many pieces and put together. So I
Correct.
think this is a big difference.
Yeah, you either do it once or you don't do it. So
Yeah.
you got to do it right the first time. So yeah, it does make a difference having the larger volume. Yeah, as you said, on a 3D printer, you can break up your model into smaller pieces that you can actually stick back together later on. You can't really do that with a laser.
there's two things on the Z1 I would like to see changed. So whenever you want to talk about that, let me know.
Yeah. So the next question is so after you using the Z1, how do you generally use it for? So you have some projects maybe.
Yeah, let's start with Jerry, and then it'll come over to me.
Well, I can start right here. Here's something I did this morning. It's a little Christmas tree that was cut out of Baltic birch. I believe it's like 2 millimeters. And my speed on the Comgrow was 100% power because I didn't want to try 80 or 90. Because in the past, I've had a lot of failed prints trying to cut different things. And like 250%. This is from the LA hobby guy, Rich LA hobby guy over on YouTube. He does light burn tutorials. And this is a free file, which I linked when I shared it on Facebook and social, that anybody can go download this and you can print out. It's really cool. And it has a lot of different little stars and things you can put on it. But let me switch cameras here and I'll show you what else I got behind me.
After cutting the berries itself, and we can notice that we do a lot of crafts for the hanging that can be hanging on the Christmas tree.
Yeah. Rock. So anyway, this
I
is
did on canvas a while back. You can buy these at the dollar store. They're $1 a piece. Can you hear me okay, Liam?
Yeah.
All right. And then around Halloween time, I had to do the exorcist.
wow, this is really cool and scary. So
And that was painted. I painted it white and I painted it black, and then I burned it with a laser, like the Norton white tile method. And it's very simple and very easy to do. A diode laser, or excuse me, a K40 would burn right through this. This is perfect for a diode laser.
That's Jerry when he wakes up in the morning.
Yeah. And then here's a picture of the Comgo right here. It's on top.
Jerry, I think that Tom have a question here for you. How long did that tree take to cut?
The tree, at 250% speed, I'm trying to think. It wasn't that, maybe 35, 40 minutes.
Yep.
It wasn't that long. A total of all the parts and everything on the tree was under 2 hours. I didn't time it, but in the future I could time it. Anyway. And here's something I did a few days ago on a piece of glass. Now, when I did this, I got tempera paint, which is very easy to wash off, water washable. And I painted it with 2 coats, and then I engraved this. I've done a reverse image. And I had a red background that was in Christmas paper, but it didn't quite make it pop. So I turned the Christmas paper around, and that came out really nice.
Yeah.
And then a while back with the rotary, I had done the Alvin here. I've only used the rotary a few times. I need to start doing more work with the rotary, but I have a lot of different test prints.
This is cute. So.
Yeah, the chipmunk.
And this is an Eiffel Tower, but I have to recut some of the pieces. And a problem that I originally had is part of the way through my burn, as Comgrow knows, my laser was shutting off. And it was driving me nuts, and I thought it was a bad USB cable. I replaced it, and I couldn't figure out why until they finally told me, go to your machine settings. The PWM control was set to 1. I put that on 0, and then I had no problem running for a long period of time, the machine no longer shut off. Now, I don't know if I can do grayscale with it set on 0. I might have to set it back to 1, but for long burns, I had to change the setting and it was working great.
Okay.
Then moving over here. Here's another cutting board. This is done really light. It's not real deep, but came out very nice.
Yeah.
And let's see, keep going.
Okay. Okay, going. All right. We have another one. You break it.
Got one more to show you guys.
Okay.
This is done on glass, painted white, painted black.
So what material is this? Is it this one?
It's glass.
Glass.
Piece of glass.
Piece of
Painted
glass.
white, painted black, and a diode laser does a beautiful job.
Okay. So you painted the back black, right?
Yes. I painted it white and then I painted it black. The Norton white tile method.
Yeah.
And then you can just put it in light burn and a lot of files that I print, I'll go on, I'll Google a picture of whatever it may be, and then I drop the picture in light burn. I do a trace, I trace the image, and then I burn it from there, and then just I guess on my settings. And if you want to, since I don't know a lot about different diode lasers, if you go to Comgrow.com's website, look at the Z1, scroll down, they've got recommended settings for engraving, cutting, all different types of materials. And I always refer to Comgrow's website when using their laser because all their settings are really close to being 100% on the mark.
Yeah.
Okay. That question there about the power, the 20 watt input laser is actually 5 or 5.5 watts output. Okay. The 10 watt laser that Comgrow sell is actually 10 watt output. Now, the way lasers work is the maximum output you can get in a single laser diode is 7 watts or 7.5 watts. So on a 10 watt laser, they have two 5 watt lasers, 5 watt output lasers that actually join to become a single beam. And it's all about how much light you compress. So then the actual output of the 10 watt is 10 watt. And the one that's marked as 20 watt is actually a 5 or a 5.5 output. And that's the same, that applies all the way across lasers. So you can get higher power laser, but the most you can get with a single diode is 7 or 7.5 watts. After that, you have to start combining the diodes to get more output power.
Thank you for the answers. And I think Spencer said the power rating becomes more confusing with compressed bar because some companies say that what is the equivalent power per millimeter
cubes.
Cubes. It compares. Thanks for correct. It's compared with the output power of a normal spot size one, and others write the electrical power into the space. Yes, that's a company doing that. So we put it very straight, clear here. Yeah. That's you see the electricity power. The laser power, I think here the guy said, I think Zhao actually our colleague that said he'd like to know if the Z1 engraves the stone.
I haven't tested it yet. I have done an engraving on stone with a CO2 laser, and I believe I can do it with a diode laser. It means I need to figure out the settings. I can show you an example of what it would look like. It would look like this. If you can put me on full screen, guys. So engraving, this is slate stone coaster. This is actually made of stone, and that's what it looks. That you engrave on that. And I've done it with different designs, and the outcome is really good. But I said I did this on the K40, which is a way higher powered laser. I believe I can do it in the diode. I need to test it. I actually promised I would test this weekend to try and get some settings out and how many passes are needed and so on. So I will test it this weekend, and I will let you know.
Yeah,
great. Cook down.
Yeah, no question. Another question.
Okay. Jerry could probably answer that, but I'm guessing if it's around, if it's actually cylindrical and it's the same length, the same width the whole way along, it will stay there on its own. If it's not cylindrical, you'll have to make an adapter to level it up. And the other option is if you find that the part that you're on the cylinder on the rotary is actually moving. One trick that I use, and I have my own homemade rotary. I don't have the rotary that came for the Comgrow, but I have made my own rotary that I use my K40, And what I do is I take off the ends here, and I put a rubber band over the end. There are 2 rubber bands, and then I put the end back on. And when I put my part on, I put the rubber band over it, and the rubber band will actually force it, and the elastic band will actually force it to stay on the rotors as they rotate.
And if you have a wine glass with a stem for a neck, Comgrow has an attachment that screws on the end here, so you have the bulk of it here, and the neck rests up here in the air in a piece which I don't have on here right now. And
so
I was putting the rubber bands around the solo cups or the different cups, so I was engraving drinking cups, and I was running it too fast, and they were having trouble jumping out of these rollers since they're so close together. And Liam mentioned to take it apart and put the rubber band around both rollers and then go around the cup. That way it holds it to the rollers. And I haven't tried that yet, but that sounds like a great idea. Then it won't accidentally jump off by moving back and forth too much and jump out of the roller path.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the question that Sebastian asked about the others, the 40 watts. And a 30 watt output laser is probably a 7 watt real output, right? So a 40 watt would be a 10 watt in real life.
Yeah, there's some company right now on Kickstarter. I don't remember the name of the company. But anyway, they're nowhere in their ad do they say anywhere about the wattage, input, output, anything. Something, they're not even talking about it. That should be the
first.
And
that varies as well. That will change as well from type of laser. Like a diode laser, the wattage is easy enough to translate. Fiber lasers are a completely different beast. The same with the CO2 laser. So the translation is not as easy, depending on the type of laser you're talking about. But with a diode, it's easy enough to translate from one to the other.
Sometimes for 10 watts on the sales website, and other shows it's 40. One is the laser power, and one is the electric power.
Yes, the electrical power in versus the laser power out.
Yeah. So we're quickly showing you something that we just finished this laser engrave on the glass. So I think you kind of get point, but I think it's not focused. Maybe just showing.
No, but I can see it. Yeah.
Yeah, we have to say that imagine for the Comgo Z1 with 5 watts or 10 watts, when we do the engraving on glass or the ceramic cups, we need the laser paper or make a pen. We can't make it directly on the surface for the material.
The one thing you need to remember as well when you're doing, like, I do cuts on paper. I'll actually show you one. I can actually do it live, cutting on paper like this, which you can, or I do a lot of engraving on wood, like these.
Right.
So these come out. This and this. There's different types of engraving, and these are raster engraving when the laser goes over and back. Because there's 2 types of way of engraving. There's raster and vector, or in some apps it's called fill, which is raster, or line, which is vector engraving. But when you can do nice things like these, this is all raster engraving.
Yep.
And it comes out really nice now. But you can combine raster engraving. So I can show you one that I did that combines raster and vector engraving. This is the logo to a school.
Yeah. Yep.
Now, if I show you a close-up, let me bring over my close-up camera because I have a close-up camera here. I can show you more detail.
The Comgrow Z1 is a perfect laser for a beginner.
Yeah, it's perfect. So you see here, the lines here are raster engraving where the laser passes over and back. And this is on bamboo. Now, bamboo is hard to do because the different type of material can vary. Now, but if you look at the edges of this, the lines along the edges of this are very dark and black. You see how clean they are? That's vector engraving. So you do a raster or a fill engraving first from side to side, and then you go around each one of these with a vector or a line engraving afterwards, and it actually cleans up the edges to give you really sharp, crisp edges to your cut.
And some people on cutting boards will put borax on it, and borax will dry into it. Will help make it darker. The LA hobby guy will put a little bit of water on it, let it seep into it, and not wipe off any of that char, so it kind of seeps into it and keeps it dark.
Well, if you want it to come out black, borax is the way to go. Because if you want it really, really dark and not light like I showed you, like these are fairly light. And adding borax would actually make it actually burn pretty much black. If you do it without it, you get this light brown finish like we have here. Right, you get a kind of a light tanned finish to it. But the borax, mixing a small bit of borax with water, painting it on, letting it dry, and then engrave,
Yes.
the text will actually come up black. So without going really high in power, you get the same effect of a black text on the material.
Yeah, Matt asked, should I start with a small one or big one?
Well, the Comgrow, the Z1 is a good size to start. It's tabletop size. Like you can get smaller, but the smaller ones will only do this size, the size of a sheet of paper, roughly. Right?
If you buy something smaller, then you're going to want something bigger in a couple months, and you're going to want two or multiple. And the Z1 is a perfect size, and you may not ever need to ever upgrade. I mean, it works great.
Yeah. As an example, Matt, you're into I know for a fact Matt has 3D printers, a few of them, and if Matt started out with a small with a 3D printer that does 80 by 80 size in the print volume, he'd outgrow that in a space of about a few weeks. He wanted to do something bigger. So I know he doesn't have anything that's small, but if you do, you'll always want to go bigger. So why not go bigger if you can afford it and do it once, right? The larger size and be done. And if you ever want to upgrade the lasers later on, you can change the laser head module to a more powerful
Very
laser.
nice. Came out great.
Yeah, that came out fantastic.
Yeah. Sorry, Dave, you continue. Sorry.
I wanted to show real quick, if I could, how easy tempera paint comes off glass. I've used spray paint. I've used acrylic paint. Since I do a lot of painting, I use acrylic paint, and I have to scrub it quite a bit with the green scrubby underneath water. If you can make me big real quick, this is a test print, but I have 2 layers of tempera paint.
Okay.
See how easy that comes off? That's how, when it's completely dried on, it comes off that easy. So with a lot of paints, you really have to scrub them. Now, when I done another picture behind me that I showed you, said Merry Christmas, in some of the indentations of it, I had a little bit of black paint. So I took a green scrubby underwater and very lightly went over it to get it out of the engrave where it was etched. But tempera paint, water, comes off that quick. It's no effort involved, and it works great.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for showing that. And
Tripod. Okay, I say something to tripod real quick. Tripod. I went on Amazon here a while back, and I paid like $8 or $9 for this big bottle. I was at the dollar store this morning, and they have the same brand, $1 a piece. I couldn't believe it. The dollar store rocks when you want to make all kinds of projects for DIY. I mean, glasses, mugs, mirrors, glass, boxes, cutting boards, you name it. They got just about everything at the dollar store for your projects for your DIY laser.
Especially if you want something cheap to experiment on, it's great.
Yeah.
all right. So I have a question here. So what do you wish the Z1's performance could have even better? Okay, even better. Some improve for future. Yeah.
One thing that I can think of, only one thing. On your Z, you have to loosen these bolts to move your Z up and down. Put an adjuster. I have other lasers that have this, where you have an adjustment unit that the laser attaches to, and you just turn the screw and the laser moves up and down.
Yes.
Small little thing like that, and it makes tuning it so much easier and getting, like right now you have those 2 screws there, right?
2 on each side.
Yeah, but there is an easier way. I can show you, but I'll be showing a different brand of laser. Is that okay? Do you want me to show you? But I'll be showing a different brand of laser.
It's all right.
Okay.
It's all right. It's all right.
I can show you then. All right. So put me on the screen.
Yeah, let's compete.
Yeah, put me up. I want to show you on this one to move my laser. I just turn this.
Oh, I see that. Yeah, sure.
And sometimes
and it's so easy to maintain afterwards.
when you have thicker material and you need to do something on the fly, you'd have to pause the print, adjust it. The minute you loosen all 4, it might drop down too much and kind of figure out where was I at. If you just barely turn it, you can see what you're doing. It's great having all 4 if you're going to do the whole project at that level. But if you might have to change it at anywhere in between, it's great to have a knob. And the one other thing I would suggest is I used, when I done my waste board, my template for my layout on my MDF, I had to use double-sided tape. When your feet come down and have a little rubber feet underneath them. They go in towards the board. If they came out and they had little holes in them, then I could run screws into my waste board to hold my Z1. So if I could screw it down, that'd be awesome instead of using double-sided tape. It's a minor thing, but
So Hugh have some.
But for this unit, we have the good news to you guys. We have already have done the same function on CNC. We just make a screw here, but we didn't add to Comgo Z1. I think we will add it soon because the CNC
it makes it easier. It makes it easier for end users to level, because right now you have to loosen the screws and it drops down, and then you have to get the right spacing, and then you have to tighten it up. Whereas if you can just put a spacer underneath and just wind it down, and you're done. And then later on for another piece, you just wind it up to suit the thickness of the material. It just makes life for the end user. It makes it way easier.
Yeah, the way you did it works fine, but it'd be better if it had a knob on top.
Yeah.
And someone like me, at some point, who would turn around and put a stepper motor on top, and in Lightburn enable the Z controls. So if I'm doing a cut, as an example, if I'm cutting, when you're cutting thicker material, you can do multiple passes, but the laser has a fine beam that comes down at an angle from the laser head down to a fine beam, and then after that it widens out again. If you could set it so, if I had one of those adapters on a Z1, I'd put a stepper motor on top and build a mount, a 3D printed mount for it, and then I could actually, after each pass, I can drop my Z 1 millimeter and do another pass. That way, I'm always cutting at my focal point for each pass.
Yeah.
So you can automate. So you can actually mod that machine to automatically change if we're doing thicker materials.
Yes.
Do we sell upgrades to Comgrow? I think temporarily we do not have more upgrades, but we will have later, like the extraction fine or something that we. Yes.
Well, you have two. You have two right now. You have the 10-watt upgrade to go from the 5-watt to the 10-watt laser. You have you're talking about releasing an enclosure for the laser.
That would be
can
considered an upgrade.
Unit.
If you want the rotary, that's an upgrade. You buy the main machine, you want a rotary, then you add on. That's an upgrade. So
and
anything
you're also going to be putting the Z screw option on it, which would then be a mod or an upgrade later on. So it's a new machine, so upgrades you don't expect to be available for the day it's released, but over time people will ask for stuff. And
scroll your page down
and the enclosure.
There you go. You scroll down a little bit, you'll see all the different cut settings.
Yeah.
Or at the end,
Yeah, it's in, yes. So I will show a little bit. Yes, we have some upgrades like the rotary, but we do not have that much. So I don't know exactly what you. Let's see the details.
Yeah, but you learn those from dealing with the community, right? The community we're creative. So dealing with the community, you learn what the community needs. Now, obviously, if one person is asking for a feature, doesn't make sense. If 500 people are asking for a feature, it might be something you consider to be.
No matter what you do, somebody will always want something different or say, why didn't you do this? Why didn't you do that? But if the community as a whole, or most of them said, well, why didn't you do it this way? Well, like Liam was saying,
Yes.
Well, I work as a product manager, so I deal with customers who want features in our products all the time. And you have to outweigh what is financially right for you and what the people need. And if there's enough people who want something, then it pays for itself, right? And so, as I said, you don't do it because one person asked for it. You do it because the group of people or large groups of people are asking for the same function. Now you have a market for it, and then it makes sense then to offer that functionality.
Yeah. So I will quickly show an example how here is rotary. I think that actually Jerry and Liam's show it already. Yeah. Anyway,
apparently Tom likes the Z option, so yeah, I agree with that. It's not a hard option to add. You just have to mount your laser to it, and it's basically a metal bracket, an aluminum bracket with a Z.
Grab a delivery.
Okay. Jerry's getting goodies delivered to home.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good machine. As I said, I've used it a lot. I like it. I will try it on stone this weekend. I have multiple lasers. Like I have 3 lasers the size of the Comgrow, including the Z1, right? And I use them all the time for various different tasks. I have smaller lasers that I use for different things as well. So I will pick the machine I want for that task. And if I want to do multiple, because I have enough multiple machines, I can do multiple tasks at the same time. It's easier for me. Now, inside of my house, when I'm doing my laser engraving, you need to have something to take away the fumes if you're doing it indoors. So I actually have a 3D print. Comgrow are working on designing right now an enclosure. So you can put the laser in the enclosure and you can actually do an extraction system from there. I actually use a 3D printer enclosure for mine. I can show it to you. It's actually covered with a tarp right now, so I can actually show you. It's under that tarp because there's a clear window on it, and I have it underneath that because I don't want the UV light from the laser when it's firing coming into the room. But that's basically a 3D printer enclosure, and inside that enclosure, I have my laser. I can show you inside. Sorry, wrong one. There's my laser inside the enclosure.
That's awesome. Yeah.
So I can actually now, without even being in there, I have a camera set up in there with a long USB cable. So I can actually let's do this. We frame the job. So I can actually this is doing an outline framing of the job, and then when it's done that, I'll hit run. So I'm going to cut out a bit of card just to show an example of that you can use it for multiple materials, not only just the Comgrow. But what I've done here is let me show my screen share. I actually done this pattern here, which is actually I'm going to cut out this pattern. This is Lightburn, and I'm going to cut out this pattern using a line. It's a speed of 600, a power of 90. And what I'm going to, once I go back over to my laser here, and I can show you that I'm going to run the job, and it's actually going to start cutting.
Okay.
So I can watch it even though it's in an enclosure. I can and there's no light coming out of the enclosure because it's blocked off. I can watch the job. You can see it cutting away there.
Yeah, I see that. So your setup is really great. Yeah.
It makes life easy for me, and like I use that enclosure for multiple things. Not only my lasers, like I do printing on. Let's say I print with some resin printers, and there is an odor from resin when you're using it in the house. So what I can do is I can take my laser out, I can put my resin in there, and that whole system has the setup has an extractor, so it actually sucks the air out of the house out through a window. I have a setup with an inline fan to pull the air out of the enclosure, so there's no smoke building up in the enclosure because the fan is running.
Yep. Cool. So is there other space you will show to us that are other setup of your whole?
Okay, I'll show you mine, and then we switch over, and then Jerry can show his. Okay. So let me change over my camera.
Okay. So.
I think it's the one I want. So, here's I don't have all my printers here because I don't use them all the time. So this is a water container for my K40 laser, which is here. That's my K40
5-gallon bucket.
Yeah, I have a big bin here with more water. So this is my enclosure, and in this enclosure I have my laser I can also put in my resin printers, and I have another printer in here, which is a different company. It's a focus printer, and then I have my Ender 5 Plus, my Ender. Let's focus this off. There you go. Ender 5. This is my Ender 2 Pro. This is a Soval printer. This machine here is a 4-in-1. You can do single extruder, dual extruder, CNC, and laser all in one.
Okay.
That's a Wido printer. That's a new printer that's coming out in January from Wido. Okay. This is my CR10 Smart. And then on this top shelf here, these are my IDEX printers. These are these three. That's the 10-log D3 Pro. This is the JG Maker Artist D, and then the Wido X40. And these are IDEX. IDEX has got 2 extruders that are actually on the same x-axis, so you can print 2 things at the same time. And then here, I actually hang up my lasers on the side here. I got these little brackets.
This is cool. Yeah. So you save the space.
Well, it saves space. It saves a lot of space. And like as I said, I have more printers and stuff. I have them in a different room. I have other smaller lasers that I have on shelves that I don't use all the time, but I do use them. But it's like I've had these printers, all of them going at the same time. I recently did Toys for Tots, and a lot of these printers were busy making those toys. So I get involved with a lot of stuff, but I also do new machines, and I do reviews of new machines as they come out and so on. So it's keeps me busy outside of my day job.
Okay. All right. That's great. Okay. So Jerry,
Alrighty.
so I think it's your turn now. Yeah. Let's
Okay.
see what's going on. Yeah.
Here's my CR10 Max. The firmware has been modified to be 470 by 470 by 470, so I can do an R2D2 head dome. And down there where all the junk is, there's an R2D2 dome that was printed on this. And right now, I'm doing Paul the Alien from a really cool movie. And when he's all done, he'll be about 4.5 feet tall. I've got a Kaiwu there, which I've got the filament on for the Max. The Kaiwu has a few issues with bed leveling, but I'm working on it. I have a CR10 here in the enclosure with all the stickers. And I've got stickers from anybody, everybody. I've got lots of stickers.
This is crazy. This is
There's
crazy.
original CR10 in there. And I just got a lot of models and stuff that I'm storing up top. And there's a big cast that I did on the Max recently in silk filament. And let's see, coming over here, I've got a Hypercube 4XY 400 by 400 by 500 to build area. And I got a lot of junk underneath. I wasn't planning on showing this, so I didn't clean anything up. Down there in the corner, I've got an original CR10 that makes 2 that I have total. I've got 2 3 under 3s on the floor, and I have 3 other printers that I sold recently, and those are getting ready to go. But I realized I can make it like a CR30. I can get a kit, and I can modify one of these and make it like a CR30. Since I've never reviewed a CR30, I can get a kit from another company, and I can turn one of these enders into like a CR30. And then over here on the wall, I've got lots of models. I've got probably 6 or 7 boxes of models in a spare room because I had no room for them out here. Because over the last 5 years, I print, and keep printing. My wife's like, well, you need to paint everything. I've got more things printed than I had painted. I've got a Ghostbuster card there that's 3 foot long. I haven't finished it, but I printed all the parts. There I have a cubic printer down there. It needs to be repaired. I've got a Prusa Mini. I've got my wife's Delta right here. And then I have the Focus printer right here hiding. And I have a garage, a 2-car garage, but this is all my 3D printing stuff I have in the house here. Then out in the garage, I got an NP CNC. It's 3 foot by 3 foot. And then I have a Comgrow CNC out there also sitting next to it. And let's see. My patio here used to be enclosed. And I put a wall up, and I put my resin printers right here. I've got a original Eldoo Mars, a Brosman Mighty 4K, and a Cubic Photon Mono X next to it. And then I have a lot of spray paint on the top. I have a Wise cam up there to monitor the room. So if I have my laser going in here, I can be sitting on my desk and I can monitor it with OBS to keep an eye on it. So, if something happens, I can see it on my computer. And there's a door goes up back and forth. And that's pretty much it. I got lots going on, lots of hobbies.
Yeah. Jerry, I think Tom Paul said you guys are living in the dream. Awesome setup.
Yeah, my wife, unfortunately, doesn't like painting. She's not into any hobbies of any kind. And I don't have any friends or neighbors I hang out with. So if I did, it'd be great because they could come over to my house and I can keep them busy all day. They don't have to go to the bar and drink or gamble. They can just come over here and print and paint or make something on the CNC. I got a million things to do here.
Yeah.
I'm into more than just making. I'm into 3D printing and CNC and laser because I have some small CNCs. I have the Robo also, the Comgo Robo, but I have other CNCs. But I'm also a science nerd. I'm into astronomy and physics and science, and I have telescopes. If you check on my channel, there is actually I have a video. The audio's not good, but I have a video of showing some of the telescopes that I have. And I have a variety of telescopes, so I'm a real serious science nerd. So when you talk about the diode lasers and all this kind of stuff, yeah, I will go into the math and the science and all of that kind of stuff. That's my thing. That's like if you want to talk to details, that's what I enjoy doing. So it's but yeah, I'm a serious nerd as well as a maker.
Everybody go subscribe to Astro Printer on YouTube. He needs to get his numbers up. They're not where they need to be, but yeah, please go subscribe, like, share his videos, share his channel.
I think you Jerry and Lim, you can share your channel link so everybody could check out your I think great content there.
I'll stick it in private chat and you can post it.
I think you could share your channel link, whether it's Facebook or YouTube. I think it's great content that people could check in and see, not from the factory side, but from the user side, and see how you use it and what do you think.
It's in private chat, so you can copy it and post it.
Okay.
If we're not mods, we can't do it on the YouTube side.
You'll have to post it for us.
Okay, great. So
yeah, copy and paste. But yeah, it's like Jerry's more into. Jerry does a lot of printing, and he's into painting. I cannot paint. I can paint the wall, and that's about as far as my painting goes.
My advice to people who can't paint: clean it up, prime it, go slow. It's not that hard to learn. I mean, just take your time. You don't blob on.
I'm just old.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm 57 years old. I think Liam is what, 50?
51.
Yeah, and I still feel like I'm 17 inside. Of course, I don't look at when I look in the mirror, but inside I'm young. You know, that's why I got a Santa hat here.
Yeah.
Ho 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 ho.
But your heart is 17. Yeah. It's awesome. Yeah.
But it's fun. It keeps us like we know people in the community who got into 3D printing and laser engraving and stuff like this, and people who have had some struggles in their life, and it's actually helped them focus, and they've helped them make their life better because they have something to concentrate on. Like we have, as I said, people we know who have like PTSD and other issues, and because they got into printing, because they got into doing craft work, it gave them a focus. So it actually helped them heal. So a lot of people don't think being a maker can do that, but it can actually make a big difference to some people. So I think it's. Let me go back to the main screen.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think when you're doing the things, you forget yourself.
Yes. Yeah. Well, you don't forget yourself, but it gives you a purpose. It gives you a direction, and having that direction and purpose. And people like what you do. Now it actually helps you become more social, and it does a lot. Which you may not have done on your own without that, and it kind of brings you out of your own shell and helps you explore and get more involved in the community because people around are more than willing to help.
All my friends are online.
I'm involved in.
I don't have anybody in real life I hang out with. I don't have any personal friends. I've been retired for 7 years now, so all my friends are online. I consider Liam a good friend. We've never shook hands before, but someday I might meet him at one of the
Rep.
Rep shows.
But it's really good, and even if you don't think you have a creative mind at first, when you start doing stuff, you'd be amazed what comes out. Like I started doing 3D printing because of astronomy. I wanted to make components from my telescopes, and I've done those. I have some samples around here. Like this that I 3D printed is actually a mount to hold a laser to guide my telescope.
Yeah.
Right. I got into it for doing stuff like that, and that's the fun side of it. You can get creative. You find a mechanical reason to do something, and after that, you just expand beyond it. Like I've gone, a lot of what I do and a lot of what the people in the community do is they're heavily involved in doing stuff for charities. Well, as I said, the Toys for Tots program is just finishing now, and in the US alone, about 180 makers we've actually printed 50,000 toys for the poor for Christmas.
Okay.
With our home machines that we have here lying around at home. So the maker community is fantastic, and it's really good to get it. And in most cases, they're more than helpful. And you'll always find somebody who's not, but in most groups, you'll find somebody who is willing to sit down with you to guide you through stuff and get your issue solved.
Yeah.
The only problem that some companies do is when they sell products out of China, people in the U.S. or makers around the world get them, and there's a lot of problems with them. And it almost seems like the companies want the makers to figure out the problems, so the next version of that particular whatever it is comes out, they can fix it without them getting them, working properly out of the box. I rarely have trouble with anything out of the box. Most things work fine, but there's a lot of people that have bought different products and they get them and they don't work. This don't work, that don't work. Nothing but headaches, and then the community it seems like they're expected to fix it for the company. So
well, that is true to a point. Like I agree with you, Jerry. But I have been I've been lucky that I've found some companies who want to work with the community, who want to make their products what the end user wants it to be. So, and I think like I know like there's a lot of companies out there who are starting to do it now, and the more they work with the community, the better the product they produce. Like your Z1 is a great laser. There's no question. It works. It does exactly what it's supposed to. I haven't had any issues with it. But there's other companies out there who release products that are not up to par, that are not performing the way they're supposed to in the field. If they work with the community more to help test and troubleshoot the issues, and then before they release the product, then they release a better product and overall. And Comgrow are doing that with the community, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
There are some manufacturers out there who are doing it. We need, and the more manufacturers that start doing that, the better products they'll produce. And at the end of it, everyone will be happier, and there'll be less support issues with the products.
Yep. I think that's what we are going for, that for the communities, and we still build from the scratch. So we really happy you guys could take your time and join us today to share so much.
This is fun for us.
You got a great company. It's really nice getting to talk to you guys virtually like this, almost like we're in person, but we're not doing a fist bump, you know.
Yeah.
So it's really cool.
Yeah. Sebastian, reach out to me on Facebook. You can find my page, Astropreneur, or you can go through YouTube as well if you reach out to me. If you want to talk telescopes, nerdy stuff, because I do that all day, every day.
Liam has a group, 3D Print Help Desk, right, Liam?
I have two groups, 3D Print Help Desk and 3D Print Addicts.
And my group on Facebook is 3D Printing and Painting, 3DHP. And I'm also on YouTube. I'm on Twitter. I do have a page that I made myself called 3dhp.net, but it needs a lot of work, and I don't post on my own site very often.
Yeah. I think we're pretty much showing everything today, right? So we maybe just last words. As I just shared the comment here that everybody who shared live will win one. Will get one filament. You do not need to win. You just get one. Okay. So thank you so much for joining us. And that's.
So it's not a pick. Everybody gets one. Everybody share right now. You get free filament.
Yes.
Quick share.
So since you two share so much stuff, I think I personally just decide that we just give out something.
That's nice because most companies have 2 or 3 rows they give out as they're doing giveaways, but you're giving it to everybody. Make sure you get everybody sharing right now, guys.
You will get film, and you just contact Zhao. I will share his Facebook here, so everybody contact him, and he will send you.
Does Jerry and Liam get free filament too?
I'm going to go share right now.
Okay.
Yeah, I shared this morning, if you remember.
Yeah, so I shared it earlier as well. Yeah,
you too, of course. To everybody.
Shared twice. He wants 2 rows.
Yeah, we all try to help each other as much as we can, you know. And you guys are doing great. Keep up the great work. You're really easy to get a hold of on Facebook and contact. If I've had any issues or didn't understand something, we've worked it out, and for the better.
Yeah, just contact Zhao with this link, and you will get the 3D treatments.
So thank you so much for joining us today, and we will see you next time, I think, right? So let's just say bye.
Awesome.
Take care, guys.
Thank you, guys. Take care.